Hey there, Steve here, hope you're doing well. One question I often get asked from new viewers is what songs or riffs should I learn first to get into math rock? Well, that's a great starting point. I'm usually a bit hesitant to give specific recommendations. As an artist, I believe that developing your own unique voice on the guitar comes from learning songs and riffs that really resonate deeply with you. And when we learn from the music we're truly captivated by, it leaves a lasting mark on our playing style. This way you'll be building your style based on what truly inspires you. This doesn't mean learning other songs I think is a waste of time, but speaking from experience, I remember very few of the songs that I'd learned from college. Most of those songs haven't really stuck with me and in my personal playing style, probably because many of them didn't really resonate with me, and I saw them more as something I just had to learn rather than get excited about and wanting to know exactly what was going on in each of those songs. But the riffs that did stick with me were the ones that I played endlessly in my room just for fun because I loved them, and every time I pick up the guitar I find myself playing them. So in this video I'll show you 4 math rock and math rock adjacent guitarists and ideas I've become obsessed with and have had a huge impact on my playing. Of course there are many more, but hopefully this short list will give you an idea of how to start doing this yourself. I'll also leave a list of recommended bands to check out and a link to a post with over 50 math rock tabs to speed up the process if you find one that you want to dive into. So to begin with, I think one of my biggest influences on the way that I play guitar is Thomas Arek of The Fall of Troy. I remember discovering back there when I started college, and a friend introduced me to the Doppelganger record that had recently come out at that time. I was just blown away what I heard on that record. You know, the way that Thomas played guitar, it was very erratic but melodic at the same time. There was loads of this like open string riffs going on, and it was just really captivating to me, and I really wanted to learn a lot of that record. So friends helped me learn songs, or I found tabs that I could find online at the time for that. It's just a wonderful record, and I think if I take away what has had an effect on my playing from that record, like in songs like I Just Got the Symphony Going, we've got finger tapping with open strings, and things on that same song like there was a riff in that song and these kind of chords would crop up in my playing all the time. I'd find later in life I was writing, you know, ideas that were combining this with like Midwest emo. To get some beautiful chords like that. And looking at other aspects of Thomas Arek's playing, later on when I was at university I felt like I was competent enough to play some of their songs, and as part of an assessment I had to give an individual performance, and I chose from their first record What Sound Does a Mastodon Make, because that song had always fascinated me. You know, there's just so many different parts in the song, it's so energetic. At the end of that song as well, it's just this really calm, serene part as well, which I'd later find, you know, like beautiful chords like that I would use all the time. But in this song there's a lot of open string riffage again. And these kind of open string riffs, along with what I'd learned from pickup from Thomas Arek that would make its way into my playing, it's just a lot of these interval riffs as well. And then you would add a harmony on top, which would just be an interval. Like so. And I would see this cropping up in my playing because I play intervals and open string riffs, like in another version, in another idea that I wrote. And in another song of mine as well. Again, there's kind of open string riffs there, and in that same song as well. But from there was another guitarist I discovered shortly after discovering The Fall of Troy that took me in a slightly different direction. And that guitarist is none other than Nick Reinhardt of Terra Melos and various other acts. And somehow I ended up with the untitled CD. It was probably a burned copy, to be honest, that had my portable CD player, along with Drugs to the Dear Youth at that time as well. And I'd listened to those records to and from college, and it was just mind-blowing to me. This was like a new discovery of a way that I could play guitar. This is probably my introduction, let's say, to the angular sound that you hear in math rock, where riffs are not following more of a conventional pattern. We're playing riffs that are much more angular in nature. They jump around a lot. And I discovered that I had the potential to write riffs that were more like run-on sentences. They didn't have to be uniform. I could chop and change ideas. I could add variation by extending or shortening an established idea. So one song that really stood out to me on that untitled record was a song called Melody 4, and it had this wicked run-on sentence angular style riff in the introduction. That was a riff that really captivated me. And this later came out in more of my earlier band stuff, let's say, where it was much more disjointed, angular, and more, let's say, a bit more dissonant in sound. And of course, we can't talk about math rock and Midwest emo without everyone's discovery of alternate tunings. Typically, most of us are going to hear that alternate tuning sound through the discovery of the band American Football and their first LP, and that was no different for me. Again, a good friend of mine introduced me to this record. You gotta love friends, they introduce you to the best music, right? And it was the first song on that album, Neverment. There's 4 drumstick clicks kicking into Neverment and the iconic riff that Steve Holmes plays that just spoke to me, and I just had to learn this riff ASAP. And still never fails to put a smile on my face, even after all those years of learning it. And it was riffs like this that Mike Kinsella and Steve Holmes wrote on this record, like the Stay Home riff. It's riffs like that I really love learning. And to be honest, I didn't actually write anything for my band in FACGCE. I did my own songs, but it had a huge impact on how I could approach writing these string skipping pretty melody riffs. And I would do this for my band in standard tuning. And I think I can think of a few ideas that were inspired by the way that American Football approach writing ideas. Riffs like Past that I wrote were really inspired by American Football. And I remember distinctly when I was trying to write the riff, I was like, I'm going to try and write an American Football style riff in standard tuning. And it was heavily inspired by the song Stay Home as well from that same LP. And it would also apply to like other songs that I wrote as well. I had these like string skipping, arpeggiated riffs. And it's from my journey into alternate tunings where I discovered other bands that use alternate tunings, and it had a massive effect on my playing, such as like Yvette Young of Covet is definitely one of those. But a more recent inspiration is by a guitarist called Dylan Mathiasen, and he predominantly plays in one of my favourite tunings that I've discovered. So this is D, A, E, A, C sharp, E tuning. It's absolutely beautiful, and that's the one thing that captivated me when I first heard these Tiny Moving Parts records. Dylan Mathiesen predominantly plays in this tuning, and it really caught my ear, and I think for many of us it's the same. And what I would say his approach that was unique is just these really big open sounding interval chords and a lot of these like intricate finger tapping riffs that weren't too difficult to learn and so much fun to play as well. So like most of us that have discovered this band, probably one of the first riffs that you started out with was Always Focused. Songs like that with finger tapping, these big open interval chords, and another song that was a huge influence on the way that I play in this tuning, I should say, is another song called Caution. And this is one tuning that I did actually end up writing a song for in my band on our latest record. And this one, it's called Stride. And again, it's heavily influenced by the way that Dylan Mathiesen plays in this tuning. But where should you go from here? Well, I suggest watching this video here to check out 50 Mathrock star riffs in action, see if any of them resonate with you, and give the ones you enjoy. Big thanks to the Patreon that make this kind of content possible. If you're interested in supporting more videos like this, you'll find a link in the description. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.